Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the show. Each and every week, we travel all across this great state, meeting real people and seeing new places. Each and every one absolutely Alabama. From the Tennessee Valley to the Wiregrass, from the rolling hills of central Alabama to the Gulf Coast, we may be coming to your town. Just watch.
This week, we're back in the saddle for a visit with a modern-day cowgirl as she applies the woman's touch to a wild Mustang.
You ask your horse to stop, you want him to stop. You don't want to have a runaway train.
And if that ride's not wild enough for you, we'll take a trip back to the Old West, to a place they call Old Town. You'll sure as shoot and see why.
You're gonna stand there and run your mouth, you're gonna draw that gun. Put it up!
Then, we swing open the vault and look in on a tradition generations in the making. Syrup making day is always a reason for celebration, and so is our next visit with the Vine Man. His story has a lot of twists and turns, and it's absolutely Alabama.
They call me the Vine Man. There go the Vine Man.
We've got stories to tell, so let's get started. This is the garden, and these are the vines of the Vine Man.
It's early morning in Leetahatchee. Andrew McCall has already made the rounds to check on his garden. He's been battling an armadillo for this space all summer. For now, it looks as if the armadillo has retreated. So Mr. McCall sets out to do what he does just about every morning. He heads for the Lowndes County swamp.
One of the things I like is going down old dirt road. That's basically where I do all my work at as far as material concerned. Going back and forth down old back roads, gravel roads. And all these, my neighbors, they see me down the road, and there go they call me the Vine Man. There go the Vine Man. Most of them, the younger people anyway, old people know them by my name. But basically, three vines, that is the kudzu, wisteria, more wisteria than I do kudzu, and I do the grapevine, wild grapevine. I hate to learn over the years. They go through it, pick out what I want, leave what I want. I may go through the same field 2 or 3 times. Over the years, I got patches and swamps of where I go and get vines and material from. This is my museum. I'm looking for that just for me piece. And I'm looking for kudzu, I'm looking for a particular color. Kudzu come in several colors. I know I want me a square basket. Now this gonna make a base for what I want. When I get in that place where ain't never been cut, nobody never been there. And they got all this stuff. Oh, I mean, it's just like a baby going to a candy store. So,
You come out here every day?
I like it. Sometimes I come out here just for to be riding down, scouting, just get my mind together. Especially when I'm doing shows, I come out here every month. In the wintertime, I come out here every day, one way or the other.
Our morning's vine harvest complete, we head back for Mr. McCall's home, which doubles as his outdoor workshop. And I discovered I'd seen Andrew McCall's work before.
Remember seeing a place called White Flowers and all the incredible designs inside the store?
I saw stuff in the shop with white, and the whole name White Flower, until we put all the stuff up. Then she said, I'm gonna paint it all white. Like, what is wrong with you? All these vines. And that lady got that on her and they paint that thing white. She said, okay, I'll show you. And she covered, and I was blowed off my feet. And then she tell people about me, and then the old people tell people. Most people know me for my vines and stuff, but I make some very beautiful furniture, from beds to dining room table, custom-made table and things. So it's not where I began. I ain't got no one beginning. It just began.
And so he gathers and creates every day. Not an artist, a man who makes things.
You know, people feel like if I'm not called an artist, I'm not, you just credit me, so I make stuff. And if you see me that way, it's okay. If you don't see me okay, I'm still making stuff.
And a man at peace with what he does.
One of the things I love about what I do, when God taught me how to do these things, is that I ain't need a whole lot of fancy tools. You don't have to justify yourself for what you do as long as it's right.
And just as people learn about the Vine Man through his art, those same creations help teach him about people.
And the kind of people I meet, from the very poor to the very richest of the rich, we basically have the same taste, just on a different level. Now you either meet good people or bad people, and I don't met both of them. So I tell about the good people. I love what God has put here. I love being a part of it. This is a journey for me.
I'm not an artist, Andrew McCall first told me. I just make things that people like. A simple explanation for a man with extraordinary talent. A man who's absolutely Alabama.
Next, we're headed for Wilsonville and the home of the Mustang Woman. Cowgirl up with us when we come back.
I'm Fred Hunter, and I'm absolutely Alabama. And now you can be as well.
Visit AbsolutelyAlabama.com. Click on the country store section and discover cups, hats, and t-shirts. All Absolutely Alabama.
The day starts early and often ends late for Lauren Henney here at her third-generation ranch in Wilsonville. That means her horse gets an early start as well.
She came in as a wild horse last November from Piney Woods, Mississippi. She's originally from the Little Wahi herd out in Nevada. Horses do a number too on grazing fields. Soon enough there gets to be too many of them. They're crossing into personal properties, farmers' lands, crops, so they have to manage them. They have to keep the numbers under control. Then a friend of mine, good friend actually who originally owned the mare, found out about this American Horsewoman's Challenge. It's taking place out in Guthrie, Oklahoma, which is basically Oklahoma City. They chose 50 women trainers throughout the United States and Canada from video applicants, and you have 6 months to train a Greenbroke horse, and then April 1st they let us all know who made it, and then about the second week in April is when I started to get on her, and we've been working under saddle ever since.
They both made quite a journey here to rural Shelby County, and just as the mare came from Nevada, Lauren is a girl of the West as well.
Well, originally I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and then as my family traveled, you know, we ended up in Lubbock and then Austin, and I ended up in Massachusetts for several years and took a job here in Alabama and got this place and love it here.
And when it comes to horses and horse training, well, as they say, this isn't Lauren's first rodeo.
I was about 5 when I started. I actually had a Mustang paint pony, and I started there and just kept on with it.
Lauren and Kinkajou began their days with a little warm-up just to be sure they're on the same page. But there's not a lot of horse whispering going on here.
My horse listens more to my body and my language than my voice. I want her just to keep going at the pace I put her. And then when I look at her butt, she needs to turn and face me. You know, horses are herd animals. So to her, I'm not necessarily a human being here. I'm another herd animal that's getting her feet to move. So she respects me. Lots and lots of desensitizing with these guys. You know, they've never seen stuff like this. They don't know what tents are and barns, and so just really getting them used to that stuff. You want them to listen to that bit, You want them to respect it and give to that pressure. You don't, if you ask your horse to stop, you want them to stop. You don't want to have a runaway train.
When Lauren isn't getting ready for the upcoming competition, she's helping everyday riders learn about their horses.
Now my focus is a lot into horsemanship and teaching, getting riders to understand their horses and getting real responsive, respective horses. Any horse is capable of doing just about anything, but they're like humans. We can learn how to do something, but it may not be our strength, but it may be our weakness. We can still do it, but we may not be perfect at it. So horses are the same way. They have strengths and weaknesses. Some things they're really good at, and some things they're just okay at, and not everything's perfect. So you have to be all right with that. To be really good at working with animals and horses, you got to have that knack. There's got to be that something special there.
I had a South Alabama cowboy say once, there was more to being a cowboy than putting on jeans and boots and saying you were white. Today, I'd say we met a real cowgirl, a fine horsewoman, and a good Mustang. Together, they're all absolutely Alabama.
Next, from the modern horsewoman to a taste of the Old West in a place called Old Town. Hold your horses, we're coming right back.
Where'd that old cowboy go? Who real fast and talked real slow and made city boys dream about home on the range. With a big belt buckle and a scarf round his neck, Hollywood ain't replaced him yet, and things don't always get better when they change.
I would have loved to live from right after the Civil War up until the turn of the century. I would have loved to live right in there. I don't know how long I would have lived, but
Tried to live
yeah,
long.
because I fancy myself pretty fast with a gun, but there was always somebody come into town a little faster. But even when I was a little boy, I was nothing but cowboy. I tried to outdraw Marshall Dillon and all them till I finally got where I could do it. I don't know why they didn't put me in the movies.
Although B.J. Taylor never made it to be a cowboy star of the silver screen, that didn't mean he'd give up on a dream. So he built his own Old West town right here in Geneva County. He calls it Old Town.
Say, all my friends tell me, said, you never grew up. You still play with guns and play cowboy. How can you do that? How can you do that? Didn't you ever? I said, well, I don't make a lot of money, but I said, I'm about the happiest man you'll talk to.
Well, I grew up around cowboying. Dad, I think, was 100 years born too late. I mean, so all my life, anytime I'm around Dad, it was something about a cowboy. I mean, I can remember growing up as a young teenage boy down at the Wild West shows and just being into places where everybody else paid to get in. I was just part of the scenery.
Today, Shan's part of the show as father and son stage Wild West scenes for a new generation.
I built the whole town, and then we incorporated the Wild West show in, my son, Shan, and a couple other guys that we got to come down here. It's local. But it started actually renting out when I only had the barn. People wouldn't come down here and have different kind of parties and all that, children's parties and all that. And in between then, I'd build another building.
In fact, it finally grew into an entire town, complete with marshal's office, undertaker, and even the old Long Branch. In fact, I only found one thing missing.
No dance hall girls. Now, if you bring them down here, you know what I mean?
So
I can't hire them.
If I want dance hall girls, I got to bring them.
You got to supply them.
Preachers can sometimes be a scarce commodity as well.
We had a wedding down here one time, and they didn't want us to tell the preacher that we were going to get involved in the wedding. We started an argument right during the wedding. And one of the guys slipped up, was coming in, and had come up to the back of the preacher, and he fired a gun. Well, when he fired that gun, it was just a warning shot, supposed to be in the show. And he fired that right there. It was about probably 10 minutes before we could get the preacher back on location to get the wind started back. Before we do any show, I usually go up and talk to children. Now the adults, I don't. But the children, I go up and get them all in a crowd and I talk to them about gun safety. But we've never had a problem. I've had problems myself. I've shot my own self, but I've never shot a customer.
And if you're wondering just how realistic, well, I doubt Marshal Matt Dillon himself could have done it any better.
Marshal, you run a pretty quiet town here.
I try to. Sometimes I have problems. You never know when it's going to happen.
Hey, Marshal!
What can I help you with, boy?
You the marshal in this town?
I am.
I come here to kill you. You hung my brother last week outside town right there. I don't take that.
You gonna stand there and run your mouth? You gonna draw that gun? Put it up!
No bad men, marshals, or reporters were actually harmed in this showdown.
Well, a visit to Old Town can get a bit rambunctious, but it's always a lot of fun, and it's absolutely Alabama.
Next, from swinging doors to swinging open the vault to show you a tradition of syrup, generations in the making. Kane, you stick around? We'll be right back.
But nothing would ever grow in here, no kind of grass except old centipede grass. And it was just about a worthless piece of ground. I came in here and I put plenty of lime and fertilizer on it and turned it under. And we planted sorghum cane the first year. We think the cane is what it was called to be, cane field.
Sometimes life is about listening to your calling.
They say the acorns and the apples don't fall far from the tree. So I was born in that white house right up there, and along with my other 6 siblings, we grew up here on this little small place. A Baptist preacher, I pastored my home church. My son built a house here and raised 3 children here, and he became interested in sugar cane.
Which brings us to syrup making day at Sims Branch.
I think I might have been about 8 years old when I first saw Uncle Floyd make syrup in West Blocker, and I thought it was just the coolest thing.
Uncle Floyd is Floyd Marchant, and if there's a syrup making maestro, Mr. Marchant is your man.
Being around good people and telling the stories, you know, and old-fashioned stuff, and then working, it's just combining that together. It's just fun. Mostly our recreation is just working.
My heart's full of joy because I enjoy seeing him doing it and keeping this art of syrup making alive. A lot of the older people saw it as a child, a young person. They enjoy coming to see it, you know, revive the memories from childhood. And then the younger people would never see it or, you know, only read about it in books. He enjoys doing this and getting lots of folks and family together.
Family and friends are important, but the syrup is special too.
Table syrup is real easy on your stomach, and it's just real mild, you know. This stuff is curiously stronger.
And it's just something that our grandparents did, and we enjoy eating, and it is good.
Absolutely, right here in Alabama.
Now you can buy your syrup at the store, but for my money, biscuits just taste better when the syrup is pure and homemade and absolutely Alabama. Well, thanks for joining us again for this week's show. We appreciate you riding along. We're on our way to our next story right now, but if you've got a good story to tell, maybe somebody you've met, someplace you've been, let us hear from you. You can go to absolutelyalabama.com. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We'd like to hear your story, and we'll get there just as quickly as we can. There are lots of good stories to tell. We want to tell them all. Thanks again for watching this week's Absolutely Alabama.